Cruising Boxing. We're back again this week, 1 week after our fabulous pound for pound show, where we saw how Kambosos is a giant in the eyes of true experts. But
so wrong.
But we move on this week. A little shorter show this week, but we get back to the news this week and a couple previews for this weekend's fights. Gentlemen, good to see you again. Let me introduce you, as always, the one, the only, the LeBron lover, Filthy Rich. What's up, buddy?
LeBron lover and John Cena lover. Peacemaker debuts tonight on HBO Max. Boys, I got things to do. I can't wait to get this show on the road.
Speaking of which, Sunny is in jail. I don't know if you saw that. Hope she gets out soon and gets some help. Otherwise, also here is our one and only courtesan session for Judge Jimmy James. Judge, what up?
Not too much. Got some interesting bits to talk about here for sure. So okay, kind of excited, but let's get it.
Kind of excited. Well, you better get excited. You better get excited as Rich is when he sees some eggnog. That's how excited you should be right now, because it's another show. It's another week. Gentlemen, it's time to crack open your beers. So, goal, cheer, all that stuff. Do a good one here, boys.
Cheers.
Are you drinking that Corona special again there, Filthy Rich? Is that what you got?
I'm very familiar with this Corona.
The familiar, that's what it is. Right on. While he's familiar with it, let's move on with the news. Cruising news time, gentlemen. A bunch of news to get to. A lot of it is heavyweights. But before we get to that, we talk about your guy there, Judge, Terrence Crawford. He's suing Top Rank and Bob Arum for breach of contract. And he claims racial bias. He claims that Bob Arum is a crotchety old white racist that doesn't get him paid. Now, he may be right about that, but I don't know about the racial bias when it comes to the contract, because Bob Arum has said he has lost a house on what he could have made on Terrence Crawford, I guess. But what do you guys think of this? Since you're the master of the Terrence Crawford fan club, James, we'll start with you.
Well, so he's citing breach of well, one, everyone. Okay, let's just all right. Let me just start off right away. Okay. I don't care for Bob Arum. All right, we know this. I've said it on the show. That's great. I know what he's done for boxing. Either way, I don't care for the guy. He has definitely said some things to Terrence Crawford about Terrence Crawford. With that whole like straight up, I don't want to lose any money or any more money on Terrence Crawford. Do we want to keep him? I could build a house in Beverly Hills on the money I lost in the last 3 fights. A beautiful home. Okay, well, I don't know why he was keeping around so long then if he kept losing so much money, and they had a 3-year contract starting in October 2018. So either way, the breach of contract is because he was supposed to get 2 fights a year. Every year he didn't get a fight in 2018 or 2019, which was actually supposed to be the mega fight against Spence. So he's essentially filing, damages that he didn't live up to his promotion, and get that won the Spence fight. 2, he's getting an average like $4.5 million for fights, so $4.5 million he didn't make in 2020 so I mean, I don't know how valid it is. I mean, this is a pretty long story. If you've got time to read it, I would definitely give it a shot, but it's interesting. Definitely some stuff behind the scenes that we don't know. Would it hold water? I mean, it does make sense if you have fights, but obviously COVID years were different. It's going to be tough I think it's going to be tough for him to win this, in my opinion, just given the time that it happened and what was happening globally for it. But I mean, I don't have too much more to say about that, but good for you, man, because he was slandering you in public more than once, so give it a shot, right? There's America.
Well, could there be some truth to what he's saying too about he doesn't promote black fighters other than Crawford and Jamel Herring? Does he really have any other black boxers in Top Rank?
I hope
Big Baby Anderson.
Yeah, well, I hope Rich touches more on Arum overall, right? But he doesn't have that many. It's definitely more white or Mexican or boxers to that effect. So, but I don't know.
Well, what do you think, Rich? What do you think of Bob Arum? You feel like this story's probably got a lot of credit to it? these accusations?
Maybe, but they're not something you can sue over. It's kind of hard to prove any racial bias, especially when it comes to, I think he's suing Arum and Top Rank for $10 million. And all Arum has to do is pull out the receipts. If Arum really did lose a lot of money on Terrence Crawford, then you pull out the receipts and say, I took a hit on his fights. And it's not Arum's fault that people aren't buying Terrence Crawford fights. If this was a thing, I think everybody else would be suing Arum too. Like, why isn't Shakur Stevenson suing Arum? Why isn't anyone else suing Arum? It's hard to prove any racial bias. I don't like the fact that Arum made a statement about how he promotes European fighters and Mexican fighters and all this other stuff. I don't think that does him any good, but at the end of the day, show the receipts. If you really lost money on Terrence Crawford, I think it's an open and shut case.
Well, he lost money on Terrence Crawford for the point that he didn't fight. So whose fault is that? Is that fall on the boxer or the promoter, you think, more? He didn't fight in 2018. He's supposed to get 2 fights a year. Who's that fall on?
Well, I know the promoter puts all the risk. So if Crawford wants, $5 million and then the opponent wants, like, let's just say $1 million, there's $6 million out of Arum's pocket. The way Arum makes that money back is selling it to ESPN and selling tickets in Vegas or wherever the fight may be held. So that's how he makes his money back. And if he doesn't make his $6 million back, and we're not even counting the undercard that Arum has to pay for, if he doesn't make that money back, he probably has the receipts to prove it. But how much is making his money back? If he makes $8 million, but spent $6 million on this whole fight, reserving the venue and all that good stuff, then really you made $2 million. But if you want to say, well, I didn't make 2 million, I don't know, I should have made 10. Well, then Crawford has a case. But as far as like racial bias and stuff like that goes, I'm not, I don't know, maybe there's something there to it, but I'll need to hear more than just take it.
Bottom line too is Crawford really hasn't had any big pay-per-view fights. I mean, who's his biggest fights been? And again, is that his? We've said that about Crawford for years, but again, is that Crawford's fault or is that the promotion's fault too? I mean, James obviously thinks it's the promoter's fault.
Well, yeah, I mean that's what yeah, he's not. Crawford's not going in there and making up these legal documents and going back and forth with the PBC and Matchroom and all this stuff. That's Bob Arum. That's Top Rank. That's your responsibility. That's why you're getting a cut of all this stuff, right? Like, you want to say like he's putting up money. Yeah, he has to put up money, but he also sells ad space, campaigns, that he makes a lot more money back on that stuff that he spends. And you try to do that, and you have it ain't just like 2 ways to get that money back. And obviously the gate and then pay-per-view buys are 2 big ones for anyone. But I mean, even if you just do like ESPN Plus, you're still gaining money off of ESPN Plus, even though it's what, $5 a month. You got someone to subscribe for it. You're going to get some sort of cut for that and something else, man. Like, even if you cut back this, I was hoping someone was going to touch on this, but like, Arum's obviously been around forever, right? And he promoted a lot. I know he promoted a lot of people and did a lot of good for boxing in his early years. Like, you can't deny that. And he made big name fights with big name people, regardless of racial bias, right? Doesn't mean that in 2010 or 2015 or whenever that he all of a sudden decided to go, you know what, whites only, whatever, dude. Like, he's 90 years old. Like, you don't know. I mean, that's 75 at that point. He could be crazy, senile. We don't know. We don't know behind the points, man. Like, like I'm just saying, like, he might have been good at one point, and it might have been something just now. Maybe he just doesn't have a filter or anything like that. But like, he could have a case. You don't know. He could be losing money. We don't know. And if he was losing money, and you had a contract, there are things in contracts where you can get out of a contract if it ends up being not fruitful for the party that's putting up, especially a lot of all this money for it. So he could get out of that contract. So I think all that noise is just that. I think it's noise. But rather than that, he's going to get money for being racially biased. That's another story. But I mean, well, that is this story, I guess. But I don't know. There's a lot of stuff behind the scenes we don't know. But I just wanted to say that.
Well, I think it's safe to say that Terrence Crawford won't be fighting any top-ranked fighters anytime soon here, especially with this. But maybe money solves all the problems. You never know. But we'll keep an eye on this.
Let's not forget, like, bring up the 25 years ago or 40 years ago, 50 years ago. There were no outlets. There was no ESPN. Things were on like closed circuit television. You had to go like to the theater to pay like $20 to watch this fight. There were no options out there. Now there's all sorts of streaming services. If anything, ESPN may have to fit the bill at the end of the day. If you're so tied to ESPN, then ESPN should shell out some dough. Otherwise, we talked about this, I don't know how long ago, when Kambosos and Lopez went to a purse bid. Terrence Crawford and Top Rank need to go to purse bids. Let these fights go to DAZN. Let them go to Showtime or CBS, or NBC was even doing boxing at one point. So go that route, do something. But networks tend to get in the way these days, where networks weren't a real option. It was on like ABC, Wide World of Sports. So I'm not even that old, but even I know about that. But yeah, I don't know. When James brings up breach of contract kind of thing, that is legit there. But the racial bias thing, I need to hear more.
Well, I'll tell you something else. According to the story, Top Rank has 0 black executives and only 2 or 3 black employees. I don't know how truthful that is. Obviously, I'm reading this in the story, didn't give enough time to do anything else. But if that's the case, Top Rank, that's pretty big. That's big enough.
Well, Matchroom might be the same way. They're in England. We'd have to look into every promotion.
Yeah, but we're not talking about that. We're talking about Top Rank. Top Rank.
Don't you dare!
So this just in: old white guy is racist. That's shocking. Old rich white guy is racist. I can't imagine. That's quite the story. Yeah. Well, hopefully they stop fighting in the courtroom soon and get back to fighting in the ring. That'll be fun to watch. Let's move on to the next story, boys, because we've already touched on this one, and it actually deals with another top-ranked fighter, Tyson Fury, who is not black. But he's laying into Anthony Joshua for losing to a, quote, little steroid man. Very interesting way to put that. A little rubbing salt in Joshua's wounds. What do you guys feel about Tyson Fury laying into Joshua over losing his last fight? Filthy Rich, we'll start with you.
Well, for one, calling anyone little steroid man, like, I don't know how this is ripping into Joshua. You're basically saying, hey, you lost to a dude on steroids. And there's nothing, like, not to say there's nothing wrong to losing to a dude on steroids, but if the dude had to cheat to beat you, that makes Joshua look good. So I don't know the point of that. Tyson Fury tends to shoot from the hip, and that's what this video looked like. It looked like a dude who was just kind of on a rant, didn't know what he's talking about, just wanted to throw an insult out there. And steroids are, is a term that is used as an insult. Did Usyk test positive after that fight? I'm not sure. I don't think so. I think we would have talked about this before, but yeah, I don't know how this is disrespectful to Joshua, but then at the same time, we just got through talking about lawsuits. Usyk might, defamation of character lawsuit. So Tyson Fury, careful who you're trying to insult here, because there's a checkered past with someone we'll talk about later.
Well, you're right in the fact that you don't know who he's insulting more. Is it Joshua or is it Usyk? But he's basically saying you let a little steroid man come up from middleweight and set you and take you about all your belts. Well, I can never speak in the English thing. About ye
in English.
Take all your belts. Well, British English is weird. James, what do you think about this? First off, who is more insulted, Joshua or Usyk? And do you agree with any part of it?
I mean, if you look at this picture that's on here, Joshua looks pretty appalled that Usyk won. So, I mean, he may have a point, but yeah, there's been literally no stories, no even mentions or hints or allegations that Usyk has ever done steroids, ever. No substance, no enhancers, like the fact that he's saying that he went from, you know, a middleweight man has come and taken your belts. Yeah, he fought 15 years ago in middleweight. Like, I mean, he's not, what is he, 31? What was he, 16 then? Like
34 years old right now.
Oh, okay. So he was 19 at middleweight. Like,
Yeah.
all right, you telling me you can't put on that much muscle in 15 years if you don't want to work hard? Like, all right, man. I mean, it's not like he's a 300-pound heavyweight either. He's a small heavyweight. So, yeah, I don't know. This is kind of out of right field and doesn't make much sense to what he's doing unless he's essentially trying to hype up a potential fight that he wants in 2022, which is, you know, if he's doing that, you might as well get it started now.
Well, don't mess with these Ukraine fighters, but just to point out, Boxing Rec does have him as a Veda testing person. So he's tested by Veda. So I don't know where it was coming from. Maybe it's just because he was a smaller heavyweight. We said he was a smaller heavyweight and that he shouldn't have gone to heavyweight. And well, he made us all eat our words a little bit when he destroyed Joshua. But, you know, it is what it is. Let's move that. That actually story goes right into an extra story where Vladimir Klitschko reminds Tyson Fury that unlike Usyk, Tyson Fury had a positive test for PEDs. So maybe kettle, pot. What do you guys think? James, start with you.
Yeah, this was super funny to me because Fury is totally tested positive for a steroid. Was it like 2015? I think it was right before or the same year that he ended up fighting Vladimir when he beat Vladimir. But I mean, nothing really ever materialized from that. I think he might have got like I think something happened in the future. Rich, you probably have better memory for that sort of stuff than I do, but I think it's super funny that that Fury was kind of talking some trash that Usyk might be a steroid guy. And it's like, dude, you literally did that. You were literally that guy. So yeah,
here's the actual statement from Klitschko is, Tyson Fury, you live in a glass house and someone needs to take away your stones. It wasn't long ago before our fight where you actually tested positive. Anyone can Google it. Keep it classy. Hashtag Usyk champion. Hashtag Ukraine. Hashtag hypocrite. Filthy Rich, take it from there.
Yeah, so I believe after that, 2015 boringest fight of the year, I believe Tyson Fury retired after that. No, maybe the reason he retired is because there was tainted meat in his system. We'll just call it that. I mean, he tested positive for some drug. It begins with an N. I don't even know what this is. I guess according to these tester people, whoever we want to call them, apparently that is a performance enhancer. Now, how does it enhance your performance? Does it give you strength? Does it give you endurance? I don't know. I don't even know if I care, but he tested positive for something. What was it? You got
no, it does. I was saying that was right.
Nanodrolone, nanonadrolone, I guess.
And it does. I don't know what it does. I mean, I look like a doctor, but I'm not a doctor. I don't know what it does. Do you guys know what it does?
Just plays one on TV, boy.
It literally helps increase your muscle mass, stamina, train longer. It is literally a steroid. So if you're talking about like 1980s Arnold Schwarzenegger, this is what he was injecting into his butt.
Okay. So yeah, Tyson, Klitschko makes a good point. You can't throw stones in a glass house. Again, Tyson Fury was shooting from the hip. The dude just like thought he could throw an insult out there. And this is, I don't want to call it nice, but like, look, it backfired on you. And I don't know. I'm moving on from it. The Klitschko fight was boring. I think Klitschko probably beats him in a rematch at that time, but Klitschko is also like 39 years old. I mean, almost anybody beats Klitschko, including Joshua, who later on went and knocked Klitschko out. I'll drink to me.
Yeah, I'll drink to you too. Do I have a beer? I do. Okay.
I sure hope so.
Do you have any final thoughts on that, James, or do you want to move on?
Nah, we can move on. It's super funny.
All right, well, we have more heavyweights talking more smack, but Larry Holmes is come out and said that Fury, Wilder, and Joshua all have no skills. He left Usyk out of that one, but they all have no skills. In my day, we didn't duck fighters, as he said. I fought the best, and people weren't trying to protect their records like they are nowadays. So, do you guys agree that Fury, Wilder, and Joshua have no skills, as Larry Holmes says? What do you think, Filthy Rich?
Maybe he's right that they don't have skills, but these guys are not ducking each other. Joshua has fought the best of the best. If you look at his fights and you line them up with the ranking of top 10 heavyweights, according to like Ring Magazine or ESPN or anyone, Joshua's consistently fought top 10 heavyweights for the last like 5 years at least, maybe even longer. Tyson Fury, we just got through with talking about Bob Arum and his matchups. We can't force these guys to fight due to promotions and networks getting in the way. So I don't think people are purposely ducking. Deontay Wilder fought Luis Ortiz. The two of them are on the same, PBC, so that fight could be made. The Tyson Fury fight was hard to make, but they made it happen. I think Deontay Wilder had, again, do these guys have skills? I don't know. I understand what he's saying, but they're not. I don't think they're ducking each other. I think Deontay Wilder has probably a good fight on the horizon with someone, maybe Andy Ruiz. I don't know, but yeah, there's some truth to it, and there's not at the same time.
Yeah, he's mainly saying that they have no skills. He said Tyson Fury used to have excellent skills until he hired an American trainer who turned him into a mauling slugger who gets hit a lot. That style is going to shorten Fury's career, but he did used to have skills. As for Joshua and Wilder, they're both pure sluggers and still learning on the job despite being in their 30s. Judge, what do you think about all that? Do you agree or do you object? Sustain?
Look, I agree with two of them. I think to an extent, right? Just like Reg said, to an extent. Like Joshua has already stated that he was a bodybuilder before he became a boxer and said that he would take up boxing to learn the skills and do it. Has he done pretty good? I think he's done okay. Yeah, he's done pretty well. But you can't, like I touched on this a little bit last week. Joshua is very good at coming in with a game plan. And if it changes in the fight and he has to adapt, he can't do that. For whatever reason, he can't change in the fight and adapt. Like you've seen it against Ruiz, you saw it against Usyk for whatever reason, right? Some of these fights he's won just by probably being the bigger dude, right? Like he's just the bigger puncher. Wilder literally has just been a puncher. He just lands a good shot, that right hand, and you're done. You can see that he just, or at least to me, I don't think he's got very good skills at all, even though he was trying to. Well, was it Holmes? Not Holmes. It was Lennox Lewis that was trying to teach him the jab once. And I don't think he ever figured out how to do that, which was a shame because Lewis was giving him some good pointers. But Fury, I think Fury does actually have probably more talent than you think. And at this stage in his game, he's probably doing more game planning, right? Like getting bigger and using his weight against Wilder, and just, it ain't the funnest stuff to watch, but he's pressing you and doing that stuff. It's still a skill, and it's not like he doesn't have head. He has head movement. He does jabs. He hits to the body. He does stuff like that, but he's still, I don't know. I get the point that Holmes is trying to make for sure, because it does seem like they are just waiting for that one big punch. But man, that's
Larry Holmes sounds a lot like, the guys were better back in my day kind of deal. Back in my day, we did this or we did that. I fought this, I fought that, but you're comparing two different eras again. You can't compare eras in sports. It's, you can't say how good a running back was in the 60s compared to a running back in the 2000s, or quarterback records or whatever, stuff like that. It's different eras or different styles and different people. I mean, people get bigger. I mean, I can't imagine a lot of the heavyweights back then would even come close to how big Fury was in his last fight. I don't think any of those guys were around 300 pounds like Fury's been.
I don't know, man. George Foreman is a big boy.
He was never that big, though. I don't think he was ever near 300 pounds.
I don't know. Rich,
Rich.
Don't even tell me something about Butterbean either. Get out of here with that. But what do you got, Rich?
So, let's talk eras quickly. If you take, let's just say something like the top 100 paid athletes in the 80s. A lot of those guys were boxers. Now you're lucky to find a couple boxers on that top 100 ranking. Part of it is because boxing paid the most in the 80s. Right now, the Great White Hope or whoever you want, they're playing football right now because football gets the bills paid. But when look at what's the guy? Dominic Brazil was a quarterback at Colorado or maybe Colorado State. Deontay Wilder, I believe, played basketball. A lot of I don't know what Joshua did. Joshua probably did something, but a lot of these guys, bodybuilding, whatever. A lot of these guys, I don't want to call anyone like a washed up athlete, but they didn't succeed in the sport they were originally intending on making all their money. And boxing was a backup plan because boxing don't pay the bills like unionized professional sports do today.
Yeah, but you don't play boxing, man. You play football. You play basketball. You don't play boxing, son.
I'm gonna play with you in a little bit. I don't know what that meant. Look, there's no boxing
phrasing. I think
there's no boxing scholarship. You don't get a scholarship to box at the U of M or anything like that. But you can play football. You can play basketball. There's all sorts of options. You can't get that scholarship.
You get the scholarship.
Mute everyone. Hard Knocks. I'm muting you.
I did look it up, by the way. Interesting. In the Rumble in the Jungle, Muhammad Ali weighed in at 216 pounds, and George Foreman weighed in at 220 pounds. That's it. And then the heaviest Foreman weighed was when he fought Evander Holyfield, and he weighed in at 257 pounds. That's when he fought Evander Holyfield. So
he was like 40-something years old.
Just when he was 40-something years old. Evander Holyfield weighed in at 208 for that fight. So, yeah, they've gotten bigger at 220, and George Foreman was considered just a monster.
One more thing. It's even hard to compare, because Deontay Wilder was a bronze medalist. Joshua was a gold medalist. But we don't even know if the best were coming up in boxing. Like, there's a reason why Shakur Stevenson's this blue chip dude. There was something about him. But I don't think anyone thinks like Daniel Dubois or Joe Joyce, like all these gold medal boxing guys. Errol Spence is very blue chip, but most of these guys go into a different sport where it pays the bills quicker.
Right. Yeah. And the best boxers have been boxing a long time. Like they had a big amateur career, like Canelo or Lomachenko. They had the giant. Their whole life was boxing, basically. So that's not the case anymore for a lot of these guys that he's talking about. Anyway. All right, let's move on here. We're done about talking about smack talk on the internet, even though that's basically what we do. Keith Thurman, to show if he's washed up or not on February 5th against Mario Barrios. Barrios. I can never say the name right the first time. Why can't I never say that?
Drink to that.
I thought it was Barrios.
I know, but I said it wrong the first time. Thurman, is he washed up, or is he gonna win this fight? James, we'll start with you.
Well, at least he's going in there with a name, right? I'm gonna give him credit for that. Even if people don't give a lot of credit to Barrios for being I don't even know, a contender or anything like that. I mean, he had a belt against Tank, and I thought he did pretty decent against Tank, but Thurman hasn't fought in 3 years. Has it really been like that long? Like,
yeah,
since his loss to Pacquiao, or maybe
Lopez,
it's 2 years.
2019. No, 3 years.
He hasn't fought since his loss to Pacquiao.
Right.
Oh, he fought he had a victory over Josito Lopez in early 2019.
Josito Lopez.
Josito Lopez.
I guess I don't remember it.
Either way, enough for me to forget. So this is going to be interesting. I think what I don't understand is how is a pay-per-view like? Will you stop it? Will you stop it? You didn't make. Did you even get 20,000 buys with the King Kong last time? Now you're going to throw Thurman up? No, stop doing that. Stop it. Just put it on regular Fox. Let us watch it normally. And then maybe if Thurman is good, then we can put it on pay-per-view. Stop doing this. Oh, so frustrating. I don't even know what the price is, and I'm upset. It could be $2. I'd be upset. Need my $2. But I think it's good. I think it's gonna be a good fight. See if he actually puts if his actions actually back up his words for once, because I know he's been doing a lot of commentary. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Correction for me, that was his last win was against Lopez. His last fight was against Pacquiao. So you're right. But
February.
it was 2.5 years ago. So it was, it's been almost 3 years.
Too long.
Too long. What do you think, Rich? Is he washed up, or has he got something to prove to us when Jim pays for it and we go over there and watch it?
Both. Look, what James forgot is that Mario Barrios is a pay-per-view star. He just fought Tank Davis on pay-per-view, and now he's fighting Keith Thurman, one-time Thurman.
He was definitely the A side on the Tank Davis fight, wasn't he?
Yeah, I know. No, I don't know. Like, that's the lead here. That's really if you really think about it, that's the lead. Mario Barrios, his last 2 fights. Well, his last fight and this coming fight were both on pay-per-view. 2 fights in a row for Barrios on pay-per-view, headlining a pay-per-view. Mm-hmm. So that's the underlying story here. Now, is Keith Thurman washed up and he's going to prove something against Barrios? Proving something against Barrios ain't going to change the opinion. You could whoop up Barrios and no one's going to be like, oh my God, Keith Thurman's back. I don't think anyone's going to say that. So beating Barrios, a dude who was just at 140 for that big pay-per-view against Tank, is moving up a division. So we don't even know if Barrios is going to be legit or going to be a contender at 147. So, I don't know. It's not tooting your own horn here, but like, dude, you might be reading into Twitter too much and people are telling you you're washed up. No one really has an opinion on Keith Thurman. We haven't seen him in so long.
Who's even talking about him?
Like, no one. I mean,
I am. I am now.
You don't have anything better to
exactly
do,
now.
Look, maybe fight like what Adrian Broner or something. I mean, Adrian Broner's a pay-per-view star. I'd rather see Adrian Broner and Keith Thurman fight than to see Mario Barrios and Thurman.
So you're saying Mario Barrios has more headline pay-per-view B-sides, except he's up in the range of Amir Khan?
Something like that. Something like that.
The music, James, you better be playing it this time. Nobody gets more B-side pay-per-view headliners than Amir Khan.
Yeah, the only good thing about this is that they actually have a second, the undercard for this, at least the co-headliner is Santa Cruz. Leo Santa Cruz is coming back from his loss against Tank Davis against Cabajal. So that should actually be a decent fight. The undercard will make me probably watch that more than the actual main event, co-main event, whatever the hell you want to call it. So,
Filthy Rich, should Mario Barrios and Amir Khan form the boxing version of the Job Squad? Pin me, pay me.
They may as well, but we're not supposed to talk about this week. But Kell Brook might lose to Amir Khan, so maybe he's not on the Job Squad. I don't know, but yeah, the undercards have to sell these weird pay-per-views. Like James just talked about Luis Ortiz. Would you get 20,000 buys or whatever it is? Build the undercard, and we can go back to our first story with Top Rank and stuff like that. Top Rank don't have any good undercards. We're going to talk about a fight on Top Rank pretty soon here that has no undercard. So props to the PBC for putting out an undercard. Let's give them that. Hopefully Keith Thurman makes some money. And
well, James, to pay you back for your $2 that you're going to waste on this pay-per-view, I'll bring my 10 cans of Tecate over with. That should make it about even, then, right?
So you can empty out the beer. You can empty out the beer and recycle the cans for $2.
Make money for the recycling.
You might get $2 out of that. Hey, shotgunning that stuff, it makes it taste not as bad. Just let you know.
That's the bet for next time.
There you go.
Shotgun some Tecate.
All right, gentlemen, that's the news this week. A lot of news heavy this week because we kind of skipped over the news a little bit last week to get to our pound for pound list, but lots of heavyweight talk this week. That's the news. Let's move on with brews and previews. All right, brews and previews this week. As you can tell by my background, Matt from Lindstrom is fighting this weekend. Joe Smith Jr. is fighting Steve Giffard, I think was or Jeffard. I don't know. We haven't decided on how to pronounce his name. No nickname given for him. So we'll just call him Stevie G. Joe Smith Jr. fighting Stevie G this weekend. What do you guys think? How big a meeting is this going to be? What should we look for? Filthy Rich, we'll start with you.
The first thing I think of is the old phrase, don't look past your opponent. And that goes with like the Teofimo Lopez a few weeks ago, like a month and change ago, whatever. The last time, maybe it wasn't the last time, but Joe Smith, I believe he had a replacement. I believe Vlasov was a replacement, and Vlasov took him to task. So I believe the people at Top Rank don't want to take that chance again with Joe Smith. They want to keep him as like this object of desire, just like me. But you hurt your pay-per-view buys when something like that, when your star gets beat up by, I don't want to call Stevie G a no name, but the man, we're calling him Stevie G right now. So I'm thinking this should be I don't want to call anything a cakewalk, but Joe Smith, there should be no reason why he doesn't win this fight.
I like how you're trying to hype it up by comparing Stevie G to Kambosos, like there's even a close, like they're even in the same ballpark.
We
or
don't
even
know. I know nothing about this guy. I knew nothing about Vlasov. He may surprise all of us. I'm just saying Top Rank probably did their homework this time and said, we need a guy who doesn't have a nickname. Throw Stevie G out there.
Well, Stevie G, he did lose his first 2 professional fights and have since won 18 in a row. I do not recognize anybody on there. He did beat Zoltan Sira in a 6-round fight. This is his second 12-round fight of his career. He's never had a fight go past the 7th round. So, oh no, he did have an 8-round fight earlier that went the distance. I apologize. So, Jimmy James, what should we be looking for from Matt from Lindstrom in this fight?
Well, it shouldn't be. The Ridge definitely has a point. You can't look past your opponent, but the guy doesn't have a nickname. There isn't
Stevie G.
Like, I
we
mean,
gave it to
we're
him.
giving it to him now. He's
G Money.
Stevie G.
G Money. I'm telling you.
I mean, he's taken this on 8 days, man. Like I've seen it happen before. He could upset him. It's been done, but
Ruiz.
I mean, I don't know. It's a shame because I thought Smith was going to have a good test, but hopefully he beats Stevie G. I'm guessing it's going to be pretty handy. And then he gets a fight with B-Bowl or Better BF. Like, to just get it done. Like, that's the fight. I want a B-Bowl rematch would be nice just to see where he sits now, or just have it a slugfest with Better BF. But yeah, I mean, this is just kind of what it is. He should kind of walk over this guy as long as he doesn't get too reckless with it. But we all know how Joe Smith Jr. fights, and it's definitely could happen. So,
well, I'll tell you this. I have to ask this question to you guys. This is on free TV. It's on well, not free TV. It's on ESPN. But if it were a pay-per-view, would you pay more for Joe Smith against Stevie G money or the Thurman versus Barrios fight there, James? We've already said it's worth $2. Oh, it's
Thurman Barrios, man. What you got me kidding me? I'd rather pay to see Thurman Barrios than Joe Smith against Stevie G. Like, why? Just for the undercard alone. Look at the undercard for this fight. I don't know any of these people. All right,
yeah,
and that's fine.
Yeah, you can't bring up Andy Ruiz either as a replacement. Andy Ruiz was a top 10 fighter at that time. The Stevie G, we don't know who this guy is. We don't know we don't know anything about this undercard, but at least Keith Thurman has been a top 10 welterweight for a long time.
You compared him to Kambosos. What are you talking about? You compared Stevie G to Kambosos.
No, I didn't. No, I didn't compare him to Kemp. I'm just saying you don't look past your opponent.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what I was saying. I don't know where you got that from, but I also don't think something. I lost track. Go.
Yeah, I'm done with you. All right. Also, they say that Canelo might be fighting in May against Joe Smith Jr. or a Better BF fight. Is that what I read earlier?
Yeah, I don't know nothing about that.
Right. No,
No.
I don't think that would be happening either. But possibly be fighting in May.
Wow.
What do you guys think of that before we get to the predictions on the Joe Smith Jr. fight? But what do you think about Canelo fighting in May or September against Beterbiev or Joe Smith Jr.?
Nah, who knows, man? Reneso has already said that he's not even in contract talks with anybody. Canelo always fights on May 5th. Cinco de Mayo, whenever that is around, he's gonna fight on that stuff. But I mean, there ain't nothing confirmed in any of that stuff. So who knows?
This is Bob Arum talking too. So let's go in here for the Joe Smith Jr. versus Stevie G money. What do you guys think? James, we'll start with you. Matt from Lindstrom versus Stevie G money.
Knockout in 9.
In 9.
No, 9 on 7.
Knockout in 7. He's gonna make it 7 rounds. Filthy Rich, what do you think?
I'll take a KO in 8.
I'm gonna go even further than that. I go a KO. I'm gonna say in 5. The over/under is currently 6.5 on that fight, just so you guys know. And Stevie G is a 7.5 to 1 underdog. So not a terribly big underdog, but you never know. That's this weekend. What else do we have in Bruising Previews here? Oh, DAZN has announced a 8-card February-March lineup. That's good for you, Judge, because you have DAZN. What do you think of this lineup coming up? Since we'll let you start with it, James, and explain it to us, because you are the only one that has DAZN, I think, between us.
Well, that's interesting. Well, we can run through the fights real quick. If we'll pop this off, right? So
Sure, you want me to do that, or you want to do that?
You can do that. You're the host. You can do that.
All right. Liam Smith on February 5th. They got Liam Smith versus Jesse Vargas, and Sarong Vasai versus Carlos. I can never pronounce
Quadras.
James, you announce the fights. Don't let him talk.
February 12th, we got Daniel Jacobs versus John Ryder in London. Jaime Munguia fights on the 19th against Demetrius Ballard. Let's see what do we got. March 5th has got the Chuck the Tito Estrada rematch. I'm just kind of skipping to the good ones here. Virgil Ortiz is fighting on March 19th, and Kiko Martinez versus Josh Warrington 2 on March 26th. Which ones are you looking most forward to there?
Well, there's 2 other ones. Lawrence Okole against Michael Sislak and Laywood against Michael Conlon are also on there.
Yeah, I kind of skipped over because I thought you didn't care about it.
I care about Michael Conlon.
Yeah, I'm going to say Michael Conlon would be the one I'm excited for, but we skipped over it.
Well, you will be able to talk about that in a hot minute. I'm going to exclude Estrada Chocolatito 3 because we already talked about that. And of course, everyone's going to be hyped about that, right? For some of these other ones, I guess for me, I mean, man, probably stay in the same dang division, man. Sarong Vasai against Quadras, like those two these little guys are base in a battle, and that is probably going to be a decent fight again.
You hated Sarong Vasai.
I don't, but I'm not saying it's still going to be a good fight. I don't like other people too, but man, I don't know, man. If I watch Burger King and McDonald's fight, I'm still going to root for one of them. Someone's got to win. But yeah, I like Sarong Vasai and Quadras. Otherwise, I would be interested in seeing Conlon back into it, because he just keeps getting the short end of the stick for a lot of the stuff. So I like those two for sure.
Kiko Martinez coming off that upset against Kid Galahad, right? Is that right?
Oh yeah, this is for his title.
Yep. Against
And Warrington, lost to Lara once. And then the no contest because the stupid headbutt.
The headbutt.
That was annoying too, but yeah, I don't know, man.
Are you guys disappointed that Jaime Munguia is not fighting Triple G in February instead?
I don't know. I think I'd rather figure out what Rich wants to talk about.
Fine, Rich. Which ones do you
You
want to
dare
see?
put me on the spot. McConlon. I want to see McConlon.
Okay. Now, are either of you guys disappointed that Jaime Munguia is not fighting Triple G in February?
I mean, I don't know. Munguia was supposed to fight Boo Boo forever. It's been his
That's who I
mandatory
want.
forever.
Yeah, that's the one I want to see. Yeah.
Take it away, dude.
No, like I think you're right. I'd rather see Andrade and Munguia than Triple G and Munguia. I want to see Triple G and Murata, but it's all coming. It's we got a long year ahead of us. So,
well, we got a lot of predictions to make. We'll make those predictions as it gets closer to February and March for those shows. So, big fight this weekend. As I said, Matt from Lindstrom is fighting Stevie G Money. Stevie G. So I'm going to say it's an early knockout. You said round 7, James, for a knockout, and Rich, you said 8. I think you said. So we'll go with that. That's our previews for this week. Well, let's move on with the show. All right, gentlemen, that's our show this week. Big props to Raidertainment putting on another great comedy show yesterday. Thanks to everyone who came out in Burnsville, Minnesota. It was awesome. Good to see everybody there. We had over 60 people there. That was amazing. It was a great time. Great comedians. Thank you all very much for coming on out. Boys, it was another fun show. Filthy Rich, why don't you bring us on home?
Look, just, we probably touched on this last week, but I almost dropped the F. We lost America's grandmother, Betty White, and now we lost America's dad, Danny Tanner, Bob Saget. My goodness, man. I don't know. We're going to lose these two jokers too if they don't stop messing with me. So I'll drink to all of you. Have a good night, folks.
I do love Bob Saget. Bob Saget was hilarious. Watching that roast and Gilbert Gottfried's accusation. And then I always love Bob Saget in Half Baked too. He says, "You ever suck D for coke?" And then the other guy has to go, "I seen him."
Listen, watch his stand up now, man. Watch his stand up. It was not Full House.
If you're expecting Danny Tanner, you ain't gonna get it.
Yeah,
you couldn't be getting Andrew Dice Clay.
No.
Dude.
And Betty White, she was almost as old as Bob Arum when she died, I think. So almost made it to 100. So, all right, James, if they're watching us, where can they listen to us? And if they're listening to us, where can they watch?
Well, if you're listening to us and you want to watch the video, you can go to YouTube.com/Brews and Boxing. If you are watching us and want to listen to our podcast, you can go to any major podcast site, type in Brews and Boxing, and check us out.
Indeed. I'm probably on the bottom here, bet on my screen. Punching it. All right, for Filthy Rich and Judge Jimmy James, I am Raider Live. Watch some boxing this weekend. Matt from Lindstrom, good luck to you this weekend. I'm sure you can knock him out in 5. That's what I predicted. Until then, we will see you all next week.